Hi, we're here at Kenmore in the drawing room. I'm with Megan Buttiger, our curator. And this house is obviously known for its elaborate plasterwork ceiling. This room in particular was heavily damaged during the Civil War. So can you tell me a little bit about how the plasterwork was repaired?
Sure. This room in particular had a lot of damage after the Battle of Fredericksburg because one cannonball in particular came through the window on that side of the house and hit the wall on this side of the room. The concussion from that caused the ceiling in this room to literally split in half. In fact, to this day, you can still see the crack that runs across the middle of the ceiling from that cannon blast. So by the time we get to the post-Civil War years, the house is in pretty rough shape. In the 1880s, it was the Howard family that purchased the house. And they actually are responsible for the first restoration of Kenmore. Specifically, the eldest son in the family, William Key Howard Jr., was responsible for the first attempt to save the plasterwork in Kenmore.
So Megan, how did he do the repairs? What techniques did he use?
Well, of course, we're talking about the 19th century here, so he had a little tougher job ahead of him than we did today during our own restoration. But a lot of it was actually the same. There was the scaffolding. He laid on his back on the scaffolding, very close to the ceiling. Used a lot of small tools that he built himself to clean debris, dirt, that sort of thing away from the original plasterwork. He also used hide glue to inject behind a lot of the plasterwork on the ceilings to raise it back up into place and hold it there. The bomb blast during the war had broken all of the plaster keys that originally held the plaster of the ceiling, and his glue replaced the plaster keys. He also, in an amazing amount of forethought, wanted to make sure that we would know in the future what was his work and what was original. And so he actually thought to tint his plaster for the replacement pieces that he made himself, so that you can tell when you look at the ceiling there's some slightly pinkish pieces that have brick dust in them that he made, and then there are the plain white pieces that are original to the construction of the house.
So obviously William Key Howard was quite the artist.
Yes, indeed he was. In fact, we have a picture of him right here in his younger years. This is what he looked like probably about the time that he was starting work on the plaster ceilings. And just behind it here on the table, we have several of the artifacts that we have in the collection that we've acquired over the years that were actually made by William Key Howard Jr. He did a lot of carving, a lot of woodworking. This is probably one of my favorite pieces. It's actually a goblet that he carved out of a coconut shell, and you can see all the intricate decoration that he put on it. It has his monogram here in silver on the front of it, kind of a neat quirky piece.
It's very elaborate.
Very elaborate, exactly. This is another goblet that he carved. It's fairly simple, as you can see, but the kind of neat thing about it is there are these decorative rings around the stem, and it shows a high level of skill because those were carved from the same piece of wood that the stem of the goblet was carved from.
It's all one piece.
All one piece. Kind of neat. And then this little bit, this is great. This is a ring box that's carved to look like a walnut, and you just open the top of the walnut, you put your ring in there.
It's adorable.
It's a pretty realistic looking walnut too, sitting on a leaf. And then this is just a jewelry box that he did some very nice inlay work on the top. So clearly he had quite a bit of skill and enjoyed a lot of different artistic pursuits.
Is there anywhere in the house where you can see his influence?
Probably not quite as much as you can in the ceilings, but yes, I mean, he was a young man when he lived here, and so there is evidence of his younger years around, especially in the cellar. There's quite a bit of graffiti that we attribute to William Key Howard Jr., mostly because it includes his initials. So apparently they like to put his initials on things, and you can still see that today. And then there's the other sort of funny thing that we have in the house that's attributed to William Key Howard Jr. as well. He, in addition to being an artist, was quite a boating enthusiast. This is, the entire family was actually. This is a picture of actually his father standing in front of one of the family's boats down on Caroline Street. This particular one is a motorboat called the PDQ, for the Pretty Darn Quick. That was just one of their family boats. But he himself, in addition to being a boating enthusiast, was a rower. And he would row on the Rappahannock River every day. And to this day, one of his racing sculls is still in the attic here at Kenmore.
We have a boat in our attic?
We have a boat in the attic, absolutely.
All right.
And there's kind of a funny story as to why it's still there. but you might just have to come and visit Kenmore to hear that story.